Hello and welcome back to the podcast Pitstop. We are still at the Festival of Accounting. It's still day 2, and I've got myself a little treat of an interview. So I am joined by a government organisation who have told me they're not going to sue me for breaching privacy rules if I have a chat with them. The ICO are the Information Commissioner Office, and they're in charge of helping to look after GDPR, and not just to enforce it, but to help educate us, accountants and bookkeepers, on what we should be doing with our data and our clients' data. Now, I've had several interactions with the ICO over the years where clients have asked for information, and they've asked for information from WhatsApp records and all sorts of stuff. And they've always been fantastic at helping to answer my questions and understand what I can and can't do and what I should and shouldn't do and what I can and can't say, which is always helpful. So, Sharice, welcome.
Thanks very much.
From the ICO, tell us what your role is there. Tell us what you do.
Like you said, we're the Information Commissioner's Office. We are the UK's independent regulator for information rights and data protection. We're here to empower people through information, and my role specifically is on the ICO's SME team. So my team are here to help small businesses get data protection right, and we do that by breaking the law down into easy-to-read guidance, tools, top tips, anything like that to really come to the core aspects that SMEs need to be focusing on. And we do that because we understand that SMEs don't necessarily have a lot of time and resources. So we've created a specific area of our website that's dedicated to them, which means that they can quickly and easily get the information that they need.
Cool. Okay, so most people watching this will know of the ICO. And if you don't know of the ICO and you're not paying 40 quid a year, go and find the ICO website and pay 40 quid a year before you get into trouble. But a lot of us, not me, obviously, I love the ICO, but a lot of accountants and bookkeepers just see it as a book ticking exercise. I've got to pay £40 a year or more, depending on structure and size of business, etc., of course. But it's normally, for the majority of our listeners, it'll be £40 a year. I've done that. I'm compliant. But that doesn't always represent value for money. So it's not just about regulation, it's about support and education.
Absolutely.
So what kind of resources and stuff have you guys got in place that our viewers should be taking advantage of? Because ultimately, GDPR is a minefield, especially with the modern world of crossing over onto personal phones and business phones and WhatsApp and Facebook and all of this wonderful stuff. What resources have you guys got available for our viewers to go and just to squat up on it a bit and become a bit more confident in their understanding of their obligations under GDPR?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many benefits to complying with data protection law, and it really is quite straightforward when you know where to go to get the resources and the help. And that's why we attend events like this, because we want to shout about these resources that we've got. So like I mentioned before, we've got that specialist area of the website. So our website is ico.org.uk. Once you go there, you go onto the Advice for Small Organisations page. There's a whole section called Find the Right Resource. And within there, we've got blogs that cover like really niche issues that organisations might be facing. Things like data sharing, that's quite a common one. We also have templates, so organisations can literally take our words, adapt it and make it work for their business. We also have top tips and FAQs. So like I said, SMEs don't always have enough time to sit down and read through a lot of information. So they can go in, here's my question, 2 minutes, get that answer, job done, and feel so much more confident with it. So that's the message that we're here to spread of GDPR. It is straightforward, and implementing it at the start of your business and helping it to evolve as your business does means that you haven't got to retrospectively go back and go, hold on, something might have gone wrong. You can get it in place at the start, you can get your processes in place, build on them as your business develops, and then data protection can grow with you. Yep. Aside from the website resources, we do have a confidential helpline. So that operates 9 to 5 on weekdays where you can speak to one of our experts. So that adds to the value of our website resources because they can literally call and say, hey, I've got this specific question, and one of our experts can really help to break it down for them. In the same way, we've got casework inquiries, so they could drop us an email or they can contact us on live chat as well. So we really are trying to make it so that we're bringing data protection to them and we're here to support them with it as well.
And I've used your confidential helpline in the past.
Great.
And I have to say, the gentleman I spoke to was absolutely fantastic. It was to be able to, like, when you get a demand for information request from a angry ex-client who thinks he knows his rights and is demanding all sorts of information, to be able to pick that phone up and just go, look, I've got this letter from a client. What do I have to do? What don't I have to do? Like, are his demands reasonable?
Yeah.
Are his expectations reasonable? Like, how does this change when it comes to staff members and various other things? And where are the rules within me and the crossover of things like AML and HMRC? So he wanted all correspondence records, basically. And it's like, well, actually, there's stuff that we flagged potentially to an AML authority that legally I'm not allowed to warn him that I've flagged that issue, but then he's demanding an information request. And it's like, so to be able to just ring that line and the guy to just talk me through everything from a really terrible Monday morning start to 30 minutes later going, actually, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I understand now what I need to give him. I understand now what my protections are. Not as much like I understand what his rights are, but I also now understand where my rights are, and my team's rights are, and where our protection is. It meant I could just deal with it really easily.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time when it comes to independent regulators and stuff like that, that's not a resource you can get. And people will just go, oh, look at the HMRC website or something. And you go, well, hang on a minute. That doesn't quite answer the question because it's not quite got the context right. So that phone call, people, if you've ever got an ICO question or GDPR question, use that phone line because it is incredible. So GDPR came in 2018?
2018, May, coming up to 6 years.
So 6 years. So now everyone should know what GDPR is. Can we just, for those that may be just going into business, so they might not have come across it because they've been employees or they've just come out of uni and they're starting up a business, or for some reason they've not really come across GDPR and they're wanting to get into business and maybe they've not been aware until right now that this is a thing that they need to be aware of.
Yeah.
Or maybe they've heard GDPR and they're like, right, how does this relate to me? Can we just summarize what GDPR is?
Absolutely. So the GDPR is the General Data Protection Regulation. We now have a version that applies just to the UK. It is one of a couple of data protection laws that apply, and it applies to any organisation, whether that's a large organisation or a sole trader who's collecting, using, handling personal information. Now, personal information is any information which identifies and relates to a living person.
I was just going to ask you that because
I jumped in there. I saw
that. Yeah, like that's one of those things. Like, oh, so if it's an info at ... email, does that apply to? Is that personally? I think you just apply the same rules to all data for.
I think responsible information handling is definitely a good thing to do. Obviously, handling personal information brings that human element. There is harms that can come to people if personal information is mishandled or handled incorrectly. So it does bring it into a little more importance than, say, your standard corporate statistics and things like that. But if personal information is anything that affects, it could be me as an employee of the ICO, it could be you on this podcast, it affects everybody. And the more that organisations, regardless of their size, are aware that, oh, I'm holding personal information, I need to make sure I'm holding it securely. I need to make sure I'm telling people what I'm going to be doing with this information. I need to make sure I'm not holding 20 years worth of records just in case. We don't want that. Just these sort of sensible principles that you can embed as you go through your journey within your business, then that's what data protection law is there for. That's what the GDPR does. It basically just ratifies within that. It's a flexible law. So you mentioned earlier that there was a time where somebody had made a request, but you couldn't tell them that you were using their information in a certain way. If you're thinking, oh, something's not sitting right with me, surely I don't have to reveal that. You probably don't have to. It will be in the law. The GDPR is there to be flexible, and it's not there to impede any business. It's there to empower people through information and support individuals and how their information is used, but also to allow organizations, whether big or small, to grow and innovate with confidence as well.
Cool. Okay, so thank you for telling us what GDPR is and why businesses need to be aware of it. How has the last 2 days been here for you? What have the questions been? I mean, without breaking GDPR, obviously. What have the questions been? What's the attitude of the accountants and bookkeepers been like? how you found it in general.
Yeah, this event has been incredible. It's been such an enjoyable couple of days. I just don't think you can beat having that face-to-face interaction with people. And it's been really nice because obviously we've been stood on our stand. We've done a bit of the wandering round, but for people to come over and talk about how they use our resources and how beneficial they find us, it's really nice to get that positive response from people. It is also something that we're wanting to come to these events and say, we're approachable, come and ask us your questions. And that's exactly what they have been doing. We've had all sorts of questions, right from transferring data to India. We've had questions on marketing, how to handle a personal data breach, how to handle a subject access request. It's been really nice to have that face-to-face interaction and give that reassurance to people, as you were talking about earlier. Obviously, that's with the sort of speaking with the individual accountants and bookkeepers has been great. We've also received a lot of feedback as well that we can take back to the office and work on our products. But also these events offer an opportunity to network with other organisations who are here to support accountants and bookkeepers. So we've gained a lot of really good contacts that we're hoping to partnership and we're looking forward to working with in the future. And yeah, like I said, it's just invaluable, this face-to-face contact. And it just means that we can really demonstrate that the ICO is here to help.
I think it's brilliant that we can, that we are able to put a face to the ICO.
Yeah.
Because for the majority of accountants and bookkeepers, it's a website or a letter coming through the post saying you owe us 40 quid, here's how to pay it. And that's the limit of their contact. And actually sometimes, I've already said that your phone support line is just incredible. But sometimes just walking past the stand going, actually, why I'm here, I'm just going to ask them this question.
We've had that so much. People go, I didn't realise you'd be here.
I think it's brilliant.
We have found that. I mean, we came with that knowledge that people often know or aware that they might need to register and pay the data protection fee, but they don't always know about the extra resources that they get for that
fee.
The
value they get for that.
Exactly. So it's been really nice. We've had our iPads and we've been going on the website and it's been really nice for people to go, I didn't even know that was there.
Yeah.
So it's been really beneficial and events like this, they really are invaluable.
Brilliant. I do a lot of events. I don't know if I've seen you at events before.
Potentially.
It's been great to have you here and to see, just giving that what is a scary concept and approachable direction. That's fantastic. Okay. So, is there anything coming up in data protection, GDPR and stuff, that we've seen some changes recently with going from the European law to the UK law? But my understanding, it was a fairly carbon copy. Nothing major changed.
Yeah.
So, but is there anything coming up that our viewers and listeners should be aware of in the next couple of years and just not necessarily need to action today, but just have this on your periphery vision, be aware that this change is coming or that change is coming, and actually you're going to be doing resource and websites and stuff for it, but just start that little thing going in the back of their head, because I need to be aware of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are anticipating that there might be a new law in data protection world. It's called the Data Protection and Digital Information Bill.
Right.
Now, it's not concrete that this new law is coming in, but obviously as the ICO is a regulator, we are preparing for that. So we are currently reviewing our guidance, having a look at what might need to change if that law does receive royal assent. The key message that I would give to anybody is don't panic. We are here to help you. We are reviewing our resources and we will make sure that our content is up to date so that if there is any changes that might affect your business, then just take a look at our website. Like I said, ico.org.uk, call our helpline and we'll talk you through it.
It's always good to know that ultimately, if there's anything coming up, we know you guys are on it and that there's a resource website and a call line to help.
Yeah.
So we've chatted about how good the event's been and the feedback you've had and the questions you've had. I'm going on the assumption you attend quite a few different industry events like this for different industries.
Yeah.
Where in the scale of awareness and knowledge of GDPR and data protection and the ICO does the accounting and bookkeeping industry kind of sit? Like, do you think actually your audience is quite clued up here and it's just a good reminder, or is it something we should all be thinking a bit more about and be a bit more aware of?
I think the thing with the accountancy industry is there's a lot of legal obligations that they're already subject to. So I think they bring with it an awareness that, oh, hold on, there's legal requirements that we might need to look at here, which does bring, I guess, some curiosity so that they're taking an interest in it and they're having a look into it. I think the key message that we wanted to get across to accountants here is based on our previous conversations, because obviously we target our events. We knew that this would be a really good one to come to. But we know that SMEs in particular trust their accountants, they trust their bookkeepers as a reliable source of information. We know that they go to their accountants and bookkeepers for advice. So if I could give one message to accountants and bookkeepers, it would be to weave that data protection into their conversations. Say if they've got a sole trader or an entrepreneur who's at the very start of their journey, when you're talking about tax, when you're talking about registering a company's house, even setting up a bank account, just say, have you thought about data protection? And we're not saying they need to know everything about data protection as accountants. We're saying direct them to us at the ICO. We're here to help. You don't need to do our jobs for us. We're saying we'll make your jobs easier. You don't need to cover this off. It's on our website, and just direct people our way. That would be brilliant.
But we've been told for the last 5+ years in our industry, we are seen as trusted advisors. A trusted advisor doesn't need to be someone that knows the answer to everything.
Yeah.
A trusted advisor just needs to be someone that can point that person in the right direction to get the right answer.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I get a phone call or a WhatsApp from a client going, had this letter, is it a genuine letter? And it's an ICO registration letter. It's like, yeah, it is, and get on with it. And
I think with the letters, is the main thing that I would say is if your actual company's house number is on there, then it is a genuine letter. But like I said, they're always welcome to call our helpline and double check if they've got concerns.
And the reason most of them say, is it a genuine letter, is they've started a little market stall or something, and they're just a small sole trader / limited company for various reasons. And they've not really heard of the ICO in any context before. And their letter is that first touch point, and they go, oh, hang on a minute, what's that?
Yeah.
So for us to be able to go, look, this is when we register, it's like, you're going to get a letter from the ICO. This is what it's going to look like. This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
This is where you go and get like that. That should almost be in our welcome packs to new clients saying, look, we're registering you for a limited company. Make sure you've now registered this limited company, if appropriate, to the ICO.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. Very, very helpful, insightful. Thank you very much for taking us through that. Is there anything you want to help direct our listeners and viewers to? Like, this is your opportunity to plug the ICO and their resources. Yeah, where should they go? What should they be looking out for? Is there a subscription to like webinars that you guys do or anything like that?
Yeah, so I mean, we do run regular webinars. The best way to stay abreast of what's coming up on them is just to sign up to our newsletter. We have a specific SME newsletter.
All GDPR regulated, I'm sure.
All compliant with the law, don't worry. But yeah, they can sign up to that, and that's where they'll get the regular update.
Fantastic.
Let's plug would be that we do have an exciting new tool coming out. It's called a privacy notice generator. So like I said earlier, all organisations that use personal information need to tell people what they're doing with it. A privacy notice is a great way to do that. It's probably the one right that a lot of people are aware of, because you get your email saying such and such has updated their privacy notice. So this new generator tool will be launching in the next few weeks. Essentially, it just means that an SME can sit down 10-15 minutes, cup of tea, and they can answer a series of 6 or 7 questions. And what pops out once they click generate is a bespoke privacy policy for their organisation. So please keep an eye out for that, because it really will save time and money, and it will bring that transparency within the organisation.
I think that's so important, because the amount of people I talk to as an accountant or a business owner or a software developer, that they say, oh, I just copied it from so-and-so's website and changed the wording. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like copying someone's prescription from a doctor. You don't do it.
And actually having a privacy notice, it really does step by step talk you through what you need to be considering, why you're using personal information, what you're collecting it for. So even just sitting down and using that privacy notice generator, people will understand, oh, actually, this is why I'm using personal information, and it generates that information.
So it's as much about a bit of education as it is a tick box exercise.
Notice, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Really useful tool.
Well, thank you very much for joining us on Ask the Accountant podcast pit stop. I think that was probably one of the most insightful and useful podcast pit stops that we've done for this event. So if you've not taken any notes, make sure you go back. But the key takeaways here are the ICO website, the confidential helpline. They are so friendly, so supportive. They don't judge you. They don't accuse you. There's no presumption whatsoever. They just want to help inform you. You know, when's the privacy tool releasing? Do we have a...
So we're thinking in the next few weeks.
Fantastic.
Within the next...
If you've got a privacy notice, for the sake of 15 minutes and a cup of tea...
Just double check it.
Just go through the tool and compare it to what you've already got.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
These things come out of date very quickly. Like, you suddenly start using a different software or different domain or something.
It's important to keep up to date. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
very much
us
for inviting me.
and Ask the Accountant podcast pit stop. Keep tuning in. We've got more episodes coming from the Festival of Accounting and Bookkeeping, and we'll see you all next time.